Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today, Nashville Mayor Megan Barry, to start off 2017. Mayor, it's been another tough year for metro schools in terms of test scores. That's not unexpected given the changes that the state had and the problems the state has had in doing the testing. But we have a new schools director. Dr. Sean Joseph is halfway through his first year. What kind of marks do you give him so far?
Well, you know, I think that Sean Joseph has really hit the ground running. I'm excited about the progress.
Maybe a little too quickly?
Well, no. Look, people in town don't ever want you to not be fast. So, you know, and he's got urgency on his side because he's got kids we've got to educate. So I think he's been very good about being out in the community, asking the community what they want, moving with the school board on the strategic plan, and they're making great progress.
You had to drive through the snow that sort of hit the city unexpectedly on Friday morning. Were you surprised that schools were open at least for a while? I mean, this is a district known to close schools when a snow flurry comes through.
Sure. I know that what happened in that morning was that there was no precipitation when they were, you know, out driving the streets. It came on very quickly, and our kids' safety is our primary concern. So, you know, what I absolutely had our public works folks do immediately was making sure that we were salting those secondary routes so that our kids can get home, and they're going home early.
The Metro School Board still thinks the state is not being fair in how it distributes its money for education. They're in legal action already, I think, at this point, particularly over the English language learners.
Correct.
Is that the only way to get the state's attention to get that changed?
Well, sometimes when you are faced with legal action, it does bring people to the table. So, I mean, I think our hope is that we can continue to work with Governor Haslam and others to get our fair share of the BEP funding. As you mentioned, you know, we want to make sure that our English language learners, as well as all of our kids, get what they deserve.
You'll be beginning your second budget process,
yes.
Probably later this month in January or into February. You've done several of the budget while you were in council, but did you learn anything in the process while being mayor that perhaps you weren't quite aware of or didn't quite appreciate when you were in the council?
Well, I mean, clearly the budget is the way that the mayor signals her priorities, and so last year we focused our priorities on education, and we'll continue to make sure that we're focusing on the things that matter.
We talked about the explosive growth Nashville's continuing to have. Is that probably a pretty good idea? That means again this year you won't be needing any extra money in terms of property tax?
I mean, we've definitely seen growth in revenues. We had great revenue growth last year. We don't have our final numbers yet, but I predict that we'll have a similar type of growth. Now,
later in the spring, maybe even later this month, we're going to begin. People are going to begin to be getting notices in their mailboxes about a reappraisal of property that's been done by the property assessor. They're going to see how much their property is valued now as compared, for tax purposes, as compared to 4 years ago. Some people are going to freak out when they see that because of the growth that's happened in Nashville, particularly in the real estate area. What are you going to do to keep people from freaking out? Because that tends to make people say, well, you've got more money than you know what to do with already.
So let me just first be clear. A reappraisal does not generate.
You have to adjust the rates back down.
The rate has to. People are absolutely going to see.
Don't take the current tax rate and
correct. The valuation of their house value is going to go up. I absolutely predict that the tax rate is going to go down.
Perhaps significantly.
I would say probably very significantly.
But that doesn't necessarily mean people's taxes won't go up a little bit.
Well, because
or won't be adjusted.
Because your house is going to have grown in value. But this is why it's so important, Pat, that if you are elderly or disabled, that you work with Charlie Cardwell's office right now, because you can freeze your taxes, and we want to make sure that folks out there know that if they qualify at a certain income level, that those taxes can be frozen.
There's been some controversy over the last week, particularly in the council. They're trying to repeal an agreement that the city had under the previous administration for the Autumn Hills operations, which is the city's assisted living facility out in Bordeaux. Are you concerned about do we need a new operator there, and is this a sign that perhaps privatization is not the way to go for these kinds of services?
Well, we definitely need a new operator, and my administration and the Metro Council and legal, we've all been working toward identifying an operator. Our primary focus has been on making sure that the folks who are out there, the residents who live there, are taken care of. So absolutely, I think absolutely a new operator.
When you came into office, juvenile violence, particularly murders, were rising.
Right.
You took some steps, some studies, and that's gone down 40% in the last year. But now overall homicides are the highest they've been in over a decade. Do we need some similar ideas and progress to be made on the adult side.
Yes, absolutely. We did see an increase this year in our overall murders. That's something that's happening across nationally, but we want to make sure that whatever we can be doing, we're bringing that number down.
Police department says one way to do that might be bringing in more police officers.
Yes.
We see that being happening in a lot of other cities. Now, Chicago is very different, but they're adding more. Do you see more police being added, more additional officers on the street being added to your budget?
Absolutely. In fact, I went to the 81st class of police officers training earlier this week. We had 60 candidates for police officers. A third of them are women. We've got representation from all over the world in that class, so we're actively out there bringing in new police officers.
Very quickly, it looks like the Obamacare program may well be repealed in Washington. Nobody knows what the change is going to be, what the new is going to be. Are you concerned what that's going to mean to people in Nashville and in Tennessee who need that service?
Well, even under the Affordable Care Act, 30,000 people in Davidson County didn't have insurance. So, yes, I'm very concerned. Any kind of a serious change to ACA is going to have an impact on Nashvillians. So I want to know what that's going to look like.
Mayor Berry, thank you so much for coming in. We'll probably have you back in here during 2017.
I hope so. Thanks.
And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. Hope you can be back here again for a future show. If you can't get into politics in the meantime, go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.